Let's see. Alrighty, we are live. We are live. We are live. Let's do our countdown. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Please remember to share this video. Remember to like it. We're all live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're also live on Twitter. Alrighty. Good day, everyone. Thank you all for being a part of our show today. This is Buchilo, and I am your host on today's episode of the Leadership Standard. And I have the amazing, the indefatigable lady, Susan Mount, with us today. Today is like no other day. Susan, you want to say hi, unmute yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Yes. Hi, Susan. So today is like no other day. We will be discussing the very topic called Is Britain Still in Charge of Nigeria? Is Britain still in charge of Nigeria? You know what to do already. Please like, share this video. Let's get this conversation started. Today, we're going to be analyzing the topic, Is Britain Still in Charge of Nigeria? And the reason why we're going to be talking about this, I hope you all can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, please put a comment down that you can hear me. I just want to be sure. I sometimes get paranoid that I talk and the microphone is not working. But if you guys can hear me, please let me know. Let me know. Let me go. I'm going to go and check. Okay. I hear myself, so that's good. All right. So, yes. So thank you all for being part of us today. We're going to be jumping right in. But before we do, let us just say a short prayer just to welcome, the good energy, the positive light, the positive energy, God, into our midst this morning, or rather this day. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. As we're about to make this analysis, we ask that you give us the right words to say, put the right words in our mouths. And at the end of the day, Father, Lord, we pray for the full release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and every other Biafran that's held unjustly with the Nigerian government for no crimes they've been committed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All righty. Thank you all. Thank you, Mike, for letting me know that my volume and my voice is loud and clear. All righty. So, Susan, let's jump right in. What do you think?
I think we should jump right in. Sorry, I want to greet people. I want everybody to share this because we're going to be doing a lot of educating today because we want to reaffirm what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has always said and tried to educate people about. Because what's going on right now is a pattern of behavior in the failed contraption called Nigeria, led by the British government.
Right.
So we want, and we know there's good British people out there. So we say hi to all the good British people. We love you. We want you to still stand up for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafran people. Same with American people. Same with the European people, because we know we've got people all over in support of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafran people. So we want to say that loud and clear up front.
Exactly. We want to just say welcome. We're going to go over the comments later. But please, if you have your comment, don't be shy. Post your comments, post your questions. But we're going to jump right in. We don't like to waste time.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Mike,
please.
I love Mike. Let me tell you, Mike is awesome. He made a comment, the UK reports nothing regarding MNK to the UK population because they know the average British citizen would support Biafra. And that's true about Americans too. So if the average British citizen or the average American knew about what's truly behind the contraption Nigeria and what they are doing and have done and continue to do to the Biafran population, trust me, it would not go down like it's going down right now. And that's why we are on board trying to educate people today live.
And again, we must also realize that, the UK, the British people, they know, some of them who are privy, to this, they know that they have the right to talk to their congressman or their parliamentarian and tell them exactly how they feel about the Biafran issue. It is your own constitutional right as a British person, to confront your MPs, your member of parliament, and whoever it is, sitting down and tell them exactly how you feel. But we don't want to go into that right now. We're going to start with the plan, which we have right now. We're going to be showing.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Bucci. I apologize.
Go ahead.
So also something very important, Mike stated 90% of protesters in London during the 67 and 70 genocide were white British, which we had some protesters in America. I wish we had more. Obviously, Bruce. He lit himself on fire in front of the UN for the Biafran people. But let me tell you, we carry the baton now. And our voices and the Biafran people's voices have to be heard. And we need to include Biafrans because this is their fight. We are not saviors, but we will be a voice for them when people shut down their voice. Okay, so getting on into it. I can't wait, Bucci.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
We cannot wait. Thank you so much, Susan, for your doggedness in this fight to help the Biafran people. So we're going to start with this first video. This is a video of a non-name man, a non-name British man, who shared his thoughts on what he feels about the Nigerian, contraption, and explained in succinct details what is really going on from the eyes of someone in the system. All right, so let's watch this. It's going to be a very exciting one to watch.
Really interesting interview today with a gentleman I've met at the Nigerian High Commission. Very interesting gentleman who's been connected with Nigeria for one way or another, probably over the last
since 1970. I went to Nigeria in 70.
Okay.
Bucci, something happened to the sound. You need to rewind it because this is very important.
Get an angle.
Okay. The sound is low, or it's not. You're not hearing it.
I heard the sound at first, and then it went dead, and then it started up again. So let's try it again.
Okay, I'm gonna play it all over again. Okay. Thank you.
We'll conduct a really interesting interview today with
The sound got disconnected again. There's no sound, Bucci. I can't hear anything. Do you want me to share my screen?
That's strange. If you can share your screen, that would be good, because I can hear it from this side. I'm wondering why.
Okay. I'm good. See, I knew, the devil tries to be a liar, but guess what? We always have a backup plan.
Yes, we do. We always have a backup plan because we know exactly what's going on, and the fight for Biafra is a long fight. So
okay.
Let's see.
Hang on, I'm trying to share, but it won't let me. It says entire screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see it?
No, I can't see your screen. Well, let's see.
Let me try it again. Bucci.
You know how to share the screen, right? You click on the share button.
I'm clicking share screen, and I'm trying to share everything, but it says window Chrome tab. Do I need to share it in the window?
Yes. So if you want to share, you just go to the share, then go to the share screen.
Let me try this.
Then go to the Chrome. Go to Chrome tab, then pick the one that says the British man.
Do you see my screen?
I just added your screen now to the chat.
So let me make it bigger, and I'm gonna play it. Okay.
Yes, make it bigger.
Okay, hang on.
Right, I'm going to conduct a really interesting interview today with a gentleman I've met at the Nigerian High Commission. Very interesting gentleman who's been connected with Nigeria for one way or another, probably over the last.
Well, since 1970, I went to Nigeria in 70.
Okay, if you please like to just give me a bit of insight that you gave me earlier on with regard to Nigeria and the whole politics and the issues that we're having today. It'd be really interesting to get an angle from you on what exactly happened.
Well, for me, the problem today, it goes back to the Muslim conquest of the north with Usman Dan Fodio and the Fulani Hausa conquest of the north, and the north becomes Muslim. And when the British colonized the north in 1900, what do we, the British, do? We very cleverly rule with a few hundred district officers through the Muslim emirs. It was the best thing that ever happened to Islam in Nigeria. Because before then, if you were a Muslim, you went, say, to the Tiv area, what would happen? You'd be dead. Under the British, you could go as a Muslim trader and you could live and you could spread your message of Islam. So the British enabled Islam to spread in Nigeria, and the British stopped the spread of Christianity because Lugard kept missionaries out of the north. He only let missionaries go to the parts that were not under Muslim rule, like the Jos Plateau. So the Christian church in the Middle Belt thrived in areas that had never been conquered by the House of Fulani. Why are there huge areas of the north of Nigeria depopulated today? The answer is jihad. Because those who weren't enslaved by the House of Fulani or conquered by the House of Fulani, they either died by the sword or they fled to the hills, like the plateau, like the Gwoza Hills in Bornu. And in those hills, when I was there in the 1970s, there were no Muslims. None whatsoever. The people followed African traditional religion and were becoming Christians. Because down on the plain, it was the Muslim Kanuri, and they're the ones that slave raided. So what's going on today in the Middle Belt? It's nothing to do with herdsmen and farmers. It's nothing to do with Muslim herdsmen, nomadic Fulani, and settled Christian farmers. No, and it's certainly nothing to do with climate change driving out the Fulani. This is quite simply jihad. This is just an extension of Usman Dan Fodio's jihad by other means. But nobody in England dare call it jihad because they're all shit scared of being called Islamophobic. Well, I'm not. I don't hate any Muslims, but I think Islam is of the devil and it has to rule, and it must rule Nigeria. Islam a religion of peace? Don't make me laugh. Where is Islam a religion of peace? Where Islam rules. Where it doesn't, that is the region of war. That is Islamic theology. That's what this is. So those who are...
Do you want to pause it there and comment? Let's pause it for a minute and comment.
In my view, they have the historic pedigree in Islam. They're the Salafists. Now, Islam is a broad church. Islam encompasses all lots of people. Most Muslims are not terrorists. But the people around us today,
Susan, do you want to comment now,
and in
Susan?
Nigeria, who are terrorists, by and large are Muslims, and a particular kind of Muslims. They are violent Wahhabi Salafists. When I say that, I won't have some idiot accusing me of Islamophobia. They should credit me with a little knowledge of Islam, its history and theology. This isn't about Muslims versus Christians. It's about Islam must rule, Islam must triumph. And that's the case in Nigeria, and it's the case here too. Except here they can be a bit quieter about it.
Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, really interesting. Please, can I just have Your name? Can you just tell me your name for?
You give me yours, I'll give you mine.
Okay, we'll just say.
What do you have to say, Susan?
Aha! Whoa, lots of information there. Lots of good information there, correct? We have an admission by, it seems, a very knowledgeable British citizen stating that all of these narratives that the Catriona Lang and even our own U.S. ambassador is trying to push about the Fulani herders and farmers clash and the environment, that's why the Fulani herders have to transfer their cows all over Nigeria because of environmental issues up north. Even though I Googled all the rivers in Nigeria, there's lots of rivers and dams in northern Nigeria. They don't have to transfer their cattle around. If the government would spend as much money on getting irrigation systems up north to farm and ranch that they spend on terrorism, then the Fulani herders wouldn't have to transfer their cattle around, which, by the way, the cattle are owned by the politicians themselves and military leaders who are predominantly Fulani, by the way. So he's basically saying that this all started from Fodio. This is about taking over Nigeria and turning it into Sharia law, point blank. And like the man said, people will try to call people Islamophobia, which we're not. We're using this as an educational piece and showing a pattern of what's going on and what's being aided and abetted in Nigeria and part of the cancer that's eating up Nigeria. You have terrorists that are wanting to take over Nigeria and the indigenous people that were there before Nigeria, the contraption was even put together. And you have the Britain, who has a pattern since the beginning of the Fulanis invading the Hausa tribes, supporting, aiding, and abetting, and covering up for this. And we can explain that pattern today. And you know me as a lioness, I never say anything that I can't back up with evidence. So if you want to turn me in to anybody, make sure you show them this video. So what are your thoughts on it, Bucci? Because let me tell you, this man gave a lot of information.
Yes, it did, Susan. And it's very clear that the situation of Nigeria, even from the history, if you have to understand a continent or a country, you have to look at its history. The Nigerian history is one that has been bedeviled with a favoritism for the north of that continent, of that country. They favor the north. The British has consistently favored the north. They appreciate the sort of it seems like they have an appreciation of the sort of violence that's going on over there. I don't know to what gain they intend to make this happen. I don't know why they are doing what they're doing. I don't know what the end goal is. I don't know if the end goal is to create a destabilized, Nigeria, where at the end of the day, the Nigerian government will have no other option but to start selling its resources to the British government for, maybe for peanuts, or maybe at the end of the day, they would have keep having a stronghold over the people and just have a recurring, cycle of regurgitating failed leaders over and over again, whereby the people of Nigeria will have no other option but to leave Nigeria to the UK and maybe develop the UK, which at the end of the day would be more like a voluntary slavery. Back in the days, there was involuntary slavery. People were forced into slavery with no choice of theirs. Now we see a lot of young people like myself who are voluntarily leaving Nigeria to other countries. They call it, the word is called Japa. I don't know if you've ever heard of that word before, Japa, but that's the word they call it. Japa in Yoruba is to leave or to run away or to flee. And that's what's happening. Now we see a lot of young people like myself, who are fleeing Nigeria, traveling to the UK, traveling to Europe, America, wherever it is, to find a better life. to find a better life in Canada, to find a life in other places, while the nation is just going down a decline, because of what? Because of the failure of the people to sit down together and decide how they want to live their life, how they want to move their life forward, and what path they want to have. The UK has consistently played Nigeria, and the UK is its puppet master. It's the puppet master to the Nigerian leaders, and they decide the fate of how this Nigerian government works. They tell the Nigerian government the route to take, and they provide them the resources to take that route, and they also provide them with the wealth and riches why they have to take that route. At the end of the day, I don't know what exactly these people are gaining. I'm very sure that most of these Nigerian leaders, I think in their contract, they give them free citizenship to the UK, because that's the only reason why they would have no care whatsoever of how these people, the lives of Nigerians are turning into every day.
Well, let me tell you what is truly unfolding before the citizens stuck in the Nigerian contraption's eyes. Since Fodio, since Lugard, the British government has befriended the tribes that are invading indigenous people. Not only that, these are tribes that are violent and Islamic extremist, violent tribes. They try to make people in the international community believe that they're marginalized. They are not marginalized. The marginalized people are the indigenous people that are suffering, who are predominantly Judeo-Christian and practice Judaism, are suffering the most. I Googled, this narrative that the British government is trying to push, that this is a clash between Fulani herders and farmers. I actually Googled how many Christian farmers have killed Fulani herders. Would you know nothing comes up? The opposite comes up. Christian farmers killed here. Christian farmers killed there. Christian farmers killed everywhere, in the thousands. Almost every Google point that I look up is about the Fulani terrorists killing the Christian farmers. And if there is a case, which I haven't seen yet, I don't know about you all, of a Christian slaughtering a Fulani, going to a Fulani's land and slaughtering them, I've never seen one. And if a Christian does, I have seen articles where people have been hung in the Nigerian government, by the Nigerian government, for killing a Fulani extremists, terrorists, but they got in trouble, even though and they were defending themselves, by the way, when they did this, even though the Fulani herdsman terrorists was the one that killed 48 people before that. And I have that article. But there's not once, if anybody goes and Googles, there's not once in those Googles where it says, many Christian farmers kill many Fulani herders. You'll never see that. The only time you'll see that is when they defended themselves, which everybody has a right to defend their own life in a free world. So, all of this nonsense about farmer herder clashes, UK, you can save that. UK government, you can save that for somebody that's going to buy that. Because honestly, if our US government's going to buy that, they're going to hear from me backed up with evidence, which, by the way, we have more British citizens confessing and blowing the whistle and spilling the beans, which I think we should get into next, Bucci.
All righty. I'm going to share this tab. Can you see the tab, Susan?
Which tab?
Okay, 1 second now. Let me actually
pull up Harold's tribute page.
Share it now. Can you see it?
Okay. Yes.
All right. So yes, go for it. Tell us more about this person.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is a gentleman called Harold Smith. He's a UK citizen. He was part of the the Foreign Labor Ministry back in the 60s when during the time that Nigeria was trying to become independent from the colonialists, okay? So this guy is a whistleblower. Okay, so he worked under the Foreign Ministry Labor for UK. And he went to Nigeria, and his job was how they explained it to him. His job was to help because UK colonized Nigeria. They were worried that supposedly they were worried that the people would not be able to manage themselves or take care of themselves or have jobs or be able to create jobs and sustain an economy. So this guy was told to go in by the Nigerian government to help that out. But when he got there, he learned that that wasn't part of the plan to have the Nigerian citizens, people's interest at heart, to make them more independent. It was basically to make sure that even though the Nigerian government claimed independence, they still had to rely on the British government. So this article, I don't know if you want to read through the article.
I'm gonna read the important parts, okay?
Okay.
So that folks can hear.
And this is about this Harold Smith, okay? We're reading about this Harold Smith because we want you all to know who he is.
Yeah. So pretty much, as Susan said, Harold Smith was recruited to serve, the crown in Africa. He was posted to Nigeria in Lagos in 1955 with his wife, Carol, and they worked at the British office in Lagos. So in his recruitment, he was sought out and he attained the assurances that he was only recruited to assist in helping prepare Africa for independence. All right. The question then is, who would say Africa was not independent before these folks came? All right. Africa had always been independent, but clearly they came to help Africa prepare for independence. Thank you so much for that. However, on the ground, it soon found out that things were different when the British removed themselves from most of Africa and from Nigeria in 1960. Harold Smith was known for his humanitarian work, blah, blah, blah. But basically, once he realized the reality of the colonial rule, instead of cooperating, Harold displayed unusual courage by taking a high personal cost and risk. The British colonial authority violated the honors of Africans and the ordinary decent British who were of the majority. So Harold observed when he received the order to take part in the manipulation, his reply was no. He wrote on a sheet in the minute sheet that was sent to him that he wasn't going to participate, because he saw that the British was committing a criminal act, and he saw the orders that were given by the British to him. Remember, he was serving the British. He saw the orders as clearly a criminal breach of Nigerians' own electoral laws, as well as being a gross betrayal of trust by the British, who were supposed to embody the notion of fair play and honesty. All right. So basically, what he saw was that there was a lot of, unfairness as well as unjustness going on with the people in Nigeria. And the next video we're going to play, you're going to see what he says with his own voice.
Okay, can I say something really quick?
Yes.
So this Harold Smith was a whistleblower, basically, to the UK. He worked for the UK government, and he basically, later in his life, before he died, he wanted to clear the air regarding what happened. So we're going to play the video. And we're going to stop along the way during this video. And the videos and articles we show, they could have graphic nature, and we're only showing this to be an education tool. So that's why we're showing this. So anyways, let's get to the video, and this video is, how long is it, Bucci?
It's 24 minutes precisely, if
okay.
Exactly the thing.
We're going to kind of skim through the video, okay? So we're going to start the video. This is Harold Smith and his wife in this interview where he exposes what happened during his time serving in the Foreign Labor Ministry, okay?
Yes, and this video is courtesy of the Fatherland interview and courtesy of YouTube. Thank you so much.
You were featured in a program recently by BBC Radio 4, titled Document, and that was hosted by Mr. Mike Thompson. You are alleged that the British government rigged the first and most important election in the history of Nigeria in 1959 in favor of the North. Am I correct?
Yes.
How long were you in Nigeria for?
From 1955 to 1960. And we were based in Lagos. I was on the staff of the Department of Labour. I was largely occupied with employment problems, all the employment exchanges, and statistics and international reports, and was kept pretty busy. I was also stationed in Lagos in charge of the capital and the port. I was the port labour officer as well. And I also devised a port labour scheme and later a social security scheme, which was one of the first in Africa, which guaranteed workers some income after they'd finished work. It was a providence scheme. As I say, it was called the National Providence Scheme, and I was very proud to have put that on the statute book.
I was going to ask you what your role is. You've mentioned three important. Is there any particular name given to your office while you were there?
Just Labour officer.
I was a Labour officer, a senior civil servant.
Okay.
I only intended to stay in Lagos initially for 2 tours of duty.
Apologies for the buffering.
Because of this conflict with the elections, there were difficulties. Actually, government wouldn't let me leave the civil service. They were determined that I should stay in the civil service after my 2 tours. And I was offered very considerable incentives, including a knighthood, to stay and work for government. Primarily, this was because I had access to state secrets. I learned, and the Governor General himself confirmed this to me, that the elections were rigged, contrived. The intention was that the North should rule Nigeria.
Okay, Bucci, pause that for a second.
Even in '56, the Northern leaders were very proud and was.
Okay, did you hear him correctly? That the British government helped in purposely rigging the elections so that the North remained in power. Okay, very important point, because we're going to show a little pattern of behavior by British government here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he also said that they rigged the elections. And we must also talk about this. The first type of election that the supposed independence that the British came to give us in Nigeria was rigged. All right. It was already, that's why the foundation, you know, the Bible even says that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The foundation of Nigeria was already rigged from the get-go. This man worked in Nigeria from 1955. Many of the viewers here may not have been born at that time, but he knew this from the foundation. Nigeria got its independence in 1960. So he was there before Nigeria even became a full-fledged nation. And he said that the first election that the British introduced to Nigeria was an election that was already rigged in favor of the North. That's why you must understand that the British, and this is not the entire, you know, British, but the government of Britain is single-handedly supporting Sharia law. And I'm going to put it out there. They may not be doing it with their, maybe they're being hoodwinked, maybe they're being bamboozled. But if they continue in this path, ultimately the destruction of every life that has been lost, right from the over 3 million lives that were lost in the Biafran War, and the lives that are currently being lost currently in Nigeria by the Fulani herdsmen, everything can still be tied to the failure of the British government in Nigeria. And that is what this man is saying. And this interview has been happening since 2013, and you're going to see how relevant it is even to today.
Saying if they couldn't run Nigeria, never mind elections, they might not join Nigeria, they might leave. And we all thought, well, how would they survive? There are no industries, there's not a great deal of agriculture, some groundnuts in the north. This wasn't very practical at all. And then it was, the Governor General seemed to be thinking that the North couldn't, even if it won an election, rule Nigeria by itself. The South wouldn't stand for that. So there had to be a partner, either the Igbos in the east or the Yoruba in the west, to team up with the North. What he didn't want was for the two southern parties, the Igbo and the Yoruba, to team up to form the government.
Okay,
because
pause
he
it
believed
there.
the North
Pause it
wouldn't
there.
tolerate that, and talked about.
Okay, another instance where the British government, they were fearful of the Southern Igbos and Yorubans coming together to rule or be a president in Nigeria. And I'm asking as a US citizen, why? And the UK government has a lot of answering of my questions to do. And I might call them and ask them. And I'm telling our American politicians, I do not want to be allies with Britain. And this is the reason why. Because the British government, by the way, I love the people of Britain. I'm talking about the British government. And this is why I trust what Mazzi Nnamdi Kanu has said for years and years and years, since 2015, even before. They manipulated, they tried to get either the Yorubas or Igbos to be partners with the northern Fulani houses, Fulanis, however you want to say it, so that they would not form an alliance together to make a free Nigeria, basically, in layman's terms.
Exactly. They wanted someone to join the North in their manipulation. But obviously, it's not going to be easy to get the Biafrans to join anything that's evil. All right. Only if, of course, they are compromised ones. But it's very rare to see a collective of Biafrans or Igbo people that are out there trying to join a union that they know is going to destroy them at the end of the day. But let's keep watching and you hear what he has to say.
Leaving the Federation. So as I learned, in a small way at first, but very rapidly I learned about the election fixing. And as I say, this was confirmed to me by the Governor General. He actually said that he wanted me to know the truth because he wanted me to know how much trouble I was in.
You mentioned statistics, you were collecting figures. Yes. Is that for labor and unemployed people only or general?
Primarily, but obviously my interest was in the population
of generally. Nigeria.
Yes. And Awolowo, the Yoruba leader of the action group, yep. And Chief Enaharo, they too, other people were saying, where are all these millions of people in the north? Where are they? We're going up there to campaign. We want to know, And you see all these, thousands of miles of not very developed countryside, and yet the Northerners are claiming that their voting registration figures are larger than in the South, larger, far more people up there. Well, actually, if you went through the Igbo land, Enugu and that, you saw lots and lots of people. If you went to Ibadan, again, Ibadan teeming, with millions of people. But we didn't actually see many Northerners, and obviously not many Northerners at that time came to Lagos. So this did arouse suspicion. Now, the Europeans, not stupid, we are watching what's going on in Nigeria, and we too are beginning to feel there's something not quite right here, that maybe the elections are not going to be as straightforward as they're meant to be. Nigeria was being described as the showcase of democracy, and it was expected that the nationalist leaders would win through. But actually, when the election results were announced by the Governor General, before the vote was even in, didn't count for that. He didn't wait for that. I have to tell you, the British were counting the votes. And
wow,
I want to pause it right here. I want to pause it right here.
Votes.
Susan, did you hear that?
God.
Susan, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes.
They were counting the votes.
They were counting the votes.
Did you see how he led up to that point though? He mentioned that when he went to the north, he saw a vast countryside with no development there. No people there. There were no people there. There were no development there, right?
Yes.
But they had a large, vast amount of land, which they still do to today. So the point I'm trying to make in essence is the fact, what I'm trying to get out of here is the fact that people keep saying today in Nigeria that the north has the largest population. It's a lie. It's a lie.
It is. And if there is a large population, they keep the northern border open and they bring people from Mali or from Niger or other countries to bring them in, make them citizens really quick so they can count that.
Exactly. And
also,
not
only that, there was more Christians in the north before Dan Fodio, or whatever his name is, Fodio, took over, before Islam even became the primary dominant religion in the north.
Listen, guys, folks that are watching us tonight or today, wherever you're watching from, I want you to understand that most of these things are not being taught in schools.
Yes.
You're not going to learn.
That's why we are on here today.
Exactly. You're not going to learn any of this stuff in any university in Nigeria. Maybe you might learn it if you study history in a university in Nigeria. But this is coming from the horse's mouth, all right? And this is someone who has been in the country long before even Nigeria became a country as it is today. And he's telling you that when he traveled to the east of Nigeria, he saw people, he saw lands that were occupied, and there was booming economy going on there. When he traveled to the west, he saw in Ibadan, he said he saw people, he saw a booming economy growing in there. And this was when Nigeria was all in its, everyone was all in their own, minding their own business. But when they came to the north, they didn't see nobody. All they saw was a vast amount of land. But again, they recounted the votes so that it would seem like the north had more people than the east or the west. Reasons being that they always knew the agenda for Nigeria before they left, right? It's like a father leaving his children, and I'm going to use this, just a father leaving his children, and he already has set booby traps for his kids before he leaves, and be like, all right, guys, I'm leaving right now. I love you all. Take care. Be safe. This house is safe. Nothing is there. But not knowing that the father has already set booby traps. He has already set, a gun somewhere that if the child should steps on, the gun will kill the child. That's exactly what Britain did. Britain supposedly were meant to be the fathers of democracy. They were meant to go about in the whole world preaching democracy to people who were not practicing democracy. But when they came to Nigeria, they decided to do the opposite of that. They decided to falsify electoral results. They decided to rig electoral results. They decided to falsify population and population votes and counts. This is exactly what they did, and this is what is making Nigeria where it is today.
Yes, and you know what? Piggybacking off what you just said, what comes to my mind is not only should the Nigerian government be brought in front of the international courts, But Britain government should be brought in front of the international courts for this. Because exactly what you said, they were supposed to like let the put together, thrown together contraption, Nigeria, they were supposed to let them be independent in a democracy, and they were interfering with that. They set the stage for a rigged election. Not only that, they were pushing the narrative to the Europe and the US and everybody else that there was fair elections going on and that there was a bigger population in the North, when that was a lie. So I see a pattern here.
Yes.
I see a pattern. And as a US citizen whose grandparents served in World War II to protect Britain from this very thing of their independence being threatened by Hitler, because Hitler had half of France and was threatening to take over France and come after Britain next. And my grandfather could have died. And he went over there for Britain's independence and for Britain to do this, the British government to do this to innocent people. I have a problem with, and I'm going to try not to get too emotional, and we're going to continue this video. And then you ask me why you as an American, Susan, are standing up for the Biafran people. This is why. Because I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to call out wrong wherever it's wrong. And not only has British hurt Indigenous people there stuck in the contraption, but you're putting me and my family in danger now, aiding and abetting terrorists there and destabilizing Africa as a whole. So anyways, Let's continue to watch.
Let's continue to watch. Thank you guys for your patience. Please continue to like and share this video so that we can have more views and have more
I want to hear your all's comments. If you're not afraid to comment, don't comment if this can get back to you. But please comment, because this is important stuff that they don't teach in schools.
Yeah.
The British cannot be trusted. They look after their friends. Loyalty is the big thing for the British. And we were friends with the emirs of the North. We looked on people like Inaharo and Awolowo as rather dangerous people. They might even be communists. That's ridiculous, actually. They couldn't be communists in 1,000 years. But this was a sort of thing that was being said. And we were, Europeans, were getting a bit worried about all this. It wasn't quite the honest, straightforward election that we were hoping for.
Apart from Professor Anderson and Dr. Patrick Wilmot that supported your submission on the rigged election, there were other people who also served in the colonial office in your days. I mean, who opposed to this submission?
Initially, I was warned of what was going on by my senior officer, a Major Bunker. I didn't know. And I knew that the Governor General had directed me to take all the office staff of the Ministry of Labour to help Chief Okoti Igbo in politicking in Warri. And this was most irregular, and I refused to do this. Having refused an order, I know what the drill is. You resign. I resign my post. That is the proper thing to do. What they did then was rather devious. They persuaded me to withdraw my resignation, and when I did, they sacked me. It didn't go through, but I thought it was a bit low after I'd resigned and was prepared to leave the country. This was not very nice behavior. They later withdrew this and said that I had been of some service to the state, and actually commended me for what I had done, and said I could leave Nigeria with splendid testimonials, and we shook hands on this. And this was done with the recognition of the Deputy Governor General, Sir Ralph Grey. And then I left Nigeria the first time and took up a job as a personnel officer, a very big job with the Esso refinery. And then government came after me, declared that I was a traitor and I had betrayed the British people, ought to be imprisoned. And I lost that job. And then they came to me again and said, it's all been a big mistake, dreadful mistake. I'm a jolly decent chap, you know, Oxford chap. And they put me on a plane straight back to Nigeria, where I'd make up for the time I'd been away.
And it makes you wonder what they were up to during that.
And we fell for this. We shouldn't have gone back, but we did.
Now, if you...
I want us to talk about this, the point he made, the punishment he had to face, and how similar is that punishment to what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is facing today, right? This man had to tell the British government, listen, you guys are wrong. You guys are rigging the elections in favor of the North. You guys are favoring the emirs of the North. And this is still the same game plan these folks are doing till today.
Yes.
Prince
it's like
Charles,
a vicious cycle. It keeps
Prince Charles came to Nigeria, and when he came, he went to the north to go see the folks, the northern folks, the emirs, and all the other obas, the obas of Yoruba and the obis of Igbo. They all had to travel to the north. And if you look at the sitting arrangements, I don't know if how many of you saw that picture, but there was a picture when Prince Charles came. The sitting arrangement, the emir was sitting by the right side of the prime minister, while the oba and the obi, they were sitting at the back. That can show you exactly who they favor. If the North wants to favor Nigeria, then they can take Nigeria with them and let every other person go.
Exactly.
All right. If the North wants to favor if the British wants to favor the North and favor the Northerners and the emirs, then they can take them. They can have them. They can give them scholarships and visas to come to the UK.
Yes,
sure
they're already doing.
I'm very sure so many Fulani men and women who are headsmen would love to live in the UK. They can give these people visas and take them out of their misery, let them come over to the UK and live their lives. But this man was punished for speaking the truth. He was punished for being a whistleblower.
You know what I find funny? Even though he was punished and threatened, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're like, oh, we're sorry, we're going to put you back in Nigeria. Why? What were they setting him up for?
Right.
That's what I want to know.
Exactly. And if you look at what's happening, this man was a British citizen, very similar to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is being punished today for speaking the truth. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in prison. He has been denied change of clothes. He has been denied medical assistance. He's been denied fundamental human rights. And he's a British citizen. It's a shame that the British can fold its hands and support injustice just because of the fact that they are gaining some form of financial interest from Nigeria. I am very sure that there is a certain percentage amount of money that goes to the UK annually from Nigeria's purse, from the proceeds of other oil, from the proceeds of its mineral resources, and that is what this man had to face. He was sent home. He was sent back to the UK. Then after he was sent back to the UK, they were writing reports about how terrible it was. Then they now went back again, changed the report, wrote nice reports for him, then sent him back again to Nigeria to continue in the mess. That is exactly what they're doing. They have a lot of people from the UK coming to Nigeria, and they're giving them false information about what's going on down there. And most of these folks don't even have an idea what's going on. But let's keep watching.
Recall what is said about the role of the Governor General and the attitude of the British government in particular regarding the fear that Awolowo, Okotie-Eboh, and the lot of them from the south are dangerous. Is there a particular reason? Why the fear from the British government? Is it that they don't want to release or relinquish Nigeria. They still want to control Nigeria.
They knew that the North would do as they said after independence. If it had any, the North would just, because it was their habit, they liked the British, whereas the nationalists were an unknown factor. Actually, when they took the flag down and hoisted the Nigerian flag, not one of the major nationalist politicians was there. They weren't even on the platform.
That's important right there.
Incredible. These were the people who had sought independence. The people in the North didn't want independence. They didn't want the British to leave. So this was a farce. And for most Europeans who were very close and watching this, we were disgusted. We thought this really had been manipulated, this election. It was unworthy. It was unworthy of the British people, this. This
coming from their own mouths.
Straightforward thing that you would expect Britain, the mother of parliaments, to do. This was cheap and low and criminal. And I opposed it. And I opposed it then, and I've opposed it ever since. And I'm telling you the truth. And I was warned, if I told you this state secret, my life could be forfeit.
Earlier on, you said the British government wanted the North in alliance with either of the southern region, either with the Yorubas or with the Igbos.
But
without which they cannot
they can't do it
rule the country.
The problem was that Awolowo was a highly principled man.
Okay.
You didn't talk to Awolowo about squalid deals and fixing things. Awolowo was not that kind of person. If you read his books, this man was a world statesman. And his young lieutenant, Chief Enaharo, was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. However, they did do a deal with Zik, Dr. Azikiwe, from the East. Dr. Azikiwe, there was this big problem in Nigeria. It's the same big problem in America and in Britain. How do you get funds to fight elections? The candidates in Nigeria had no money, but they did have marketing boards, which were a kind of semi-nationalized industry. And they borrowed money from the marketing boards. But there was a suspicion that Dr. Azikiwe, who has formed his own bank, the African Continental Bank, was actually bankrupt. But he was borrowing very large sums of money from the marketing boards and not necessarily repaying the loans. We knew this. We had a great secret service. All the politicians' phones were tapped. All the politicians' mail was opened. Everything that any major politician did in Nigeria, we knew in hours. We watched.
Wow.
There, and I want us to have a conversation. The reason why I'm saying this is because of the fact that the British government have intel on all the fraudulent dealings of Nigerian politicians in Nigeria. All right.
Yes.
So whenever you see why the Nigerian government, I'm going to take off my jacket because I'm hot. Whenever you see, I'm getting excited now.
I know.
Whenever you see the Nigerian government acting blind to what's going on in Nigeria, the real reason is because of the fact that they have intel. The British government has intelligence on these people. They know how much they've stolen. They know where they're hiding these stolen funds. They know what bank is with the stolen funds. They know all these things. That's the reason why most of the time, these people in government, they cannot speak up. Why? Because they have money choked them on the throats. There's money that's choking them. Stolen money, stolen funds, people's livelihoods. And they know that if they speak up against the injustice going on, they will come for them. They will come for their money. They will come for their wealth, blah, 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 blah. But again, even if they don't speak up. The Fulani herdsmen will come for them. The kidnappers will come for them. The Nigerian economy, the Nigerian state will come for them. If you don't speak up for what's going on right now in Nigeria, and you're just doing hula baloo, you're not seeing the killings going on, the heads that are being slaughtered, guess what? They will come for you, whether you like it or not. There is no saying that. They will come for you.
And now you see why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu called the Southeast governors like he called them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They will come for you. The
They're
militants are coming.
They're
The
cowards.
are coming.
They are cowards.
They are cowards. This man knew what he was about to, but he was principled enough, and he stood his ground for what he believed in. Despite the fact that he knew what he was going to lose, but he stood his ground. How do you rig an election? The first election Nigeria ever had was rigged.
And this is why I'm suspicious, and I truly believe, because of this, that the UK government, Catriona Lang, is running things behind the scenes.
Exactly.
She's just an appendage of Lugard. I call her the modern day Lugard.
And that's a very fair statement. She's definitely playing the role of the modern day Lugard. And we must not forget that the DSS lawyer that is handling Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case there was a picture of her, of the man with Catriona Lang.
Yeah. That's why I'm showing my background.
Exactly. I want you to bend your head down so people can see your background. I'm going to put you as a full screen.
Okay. Let me get out. So you see her right there taking pictures with the prosecuting attorney that's working for the Nigerian government against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And then you also see her with a known terrorist sponsor, Gumi, who gets to have freedom to go to the bush with terrorists. They try to call them bandits, but they're terrorists, and give them money. And that's how she uses him to control the terrorists, evidently. Yeah. So, and then I'm not going to leave our own U.S. ambassador out. She's taking pictures with the Sarkin, the leader of all the Fulani herders, known terrorist sponsor, sitting up on his throne with his hands on golden cows, looking really, really sketchy for the British government.
As you guys can see, this is the reason why Nigeria is where it is today is a generational thing, my dear. A generational thing. And I'm praying to God that it ends in our generation. I'm praying to God that this curse ends in this generation. This curse must be broken. The curse of failure, the curse of killings, the curse of failed democracy has to be broken in our own generation. And we pray and hope that that works out. And we're going to go on in this video. This is going to be the last video we do for today, so that we can go and talk on other stuff. Or maybe we can also schedule another follow-up so that we can, we already crossed the hour mark. I don't want to. That's
okay. Let's keep going. This is important, Bucci. Let's give it 30 more minutes.
Okay.
Are you saying, in essence, that Dr. Azikiwe took money?
He was blackmailed by the British to do our bidding. We told Dr. Azikiwe that he could go to prison
if
an inquiry was carried out into his bank and his financial circumstances. However, we would not want to be vindictive if Dr. Azikiwe was cooperative in helping forward the plans that we had made in the best interests of Nigeria. Dr. Azikiwe has nothing in common with the northern politicians. He loathed the northern politicians. But Dr. Azikiwe went north and did as he was told. And what he was promised was this: the real power, effective power, would be in the hands of the northern emirs. However, it would look great if the president was Dr. Azikiwe and he was given a field marshal's uniform and an admiral's uniform. He asked, please, could he have a row of medals? But they said, well, no, that was a bit difficult, to get the medals. So when the ambassadors started arriving, he was known to be asking people from foreign countries, perhaps they had a medal for his uniform. We thought this was terrible, but it was said that this happened. He was very vain. And for a time, he functioned as first the Governor General, and then when Nigeria became a republic, as the president. But he had no power. And when he did try to tell the army, he said, I'm the field marshal, the army has got to do with this. They said, hey, you're just a ceremonial figure. You have no power. The Prime Minister, Balewa, gives us our orders. So there was a feeling then that there was going to be trouble. And then it was because the Awolowo and the Action Group had become the official opposition. What we British wondered, how could they win another election without the British counting the votes? There could not be another proper run election without us there. We knew what we were doing. We were just helping things along. We were doing what the British do, favouring our friends and looking after our own and repaying favours. We don't call that corruption.
Right. I mean, in essence, what Dr. Azikiwe did, it was forced by the British government to do it.
Yes.
Collecting money from the marketing board then.
Yeah.
So if any politician here in the United Kingdom tried to do that,
be in jail.
It will be in jail. So why did the British government refuse to take action?
Because
or comment on
if we nipped it in the bud, because we knew it was happening, it was even happening let me be fair, in the West with the Awolowo. They were taking some money. They meant to repay it perhaps, but they were taking money. And I would have said, issue a warning now and say, you've got to behave, because if this is allowed to go on, it'll be a major offence. However, before they actually ran the 1959 election, they needed money for the North and for the NCNC, Dr. Zick, to fight the election. So what they did, my senior officer, Major Bunker, went around, was ordered by the Governor General to go to all the major British firms and international firms, Ford, UAC, Leventis, all these firms, and raise money for a slush fund to enable Chief Okoti Igbo.
So be careful of the lobbying groups
to fight
here.
The 1959 elections. The North got most of their money from the native authorities. This was looked on by the British as being okay. This wasn't corrupt because we were friends of the North. And if they tried this in the West or in the East, we might have said this was corruption. But because it happened in the North, the native authorities' public money was poured into the government party, the NPU. So this obviously was a terrible fiddle. We were discriminating against the Southern politicians in favor of these Northern emirs. What we saw was that this would not be the first act of treachery. They would have to smash the Action Group because the Action Group was strong. And in a fresh election, they would be sure to win. They were pretty honest and regular guys. And a lot of the British quite admired Awolowo for his brain power. And they admired Chief Inahro, who's a bit cheeky and young and spirited. And they were both quite admired, you know, as they was like right-wing Labour people, nothing revolutionary. And so a great deal of money was raised by my senior officer, Major Bunker, before the 1959 election. And this was money put up by United Africa, by Ford, Shell, BP, and my wife, who was the personal assistant to the general manager of BP Nigeria. She's not going to tell you because she was a confidential secretary. I can only tell you that we were very well informed on some of the hanky-panky that was going on in Lagos.
Having revealed now that.
Wow.
Let's talk about this before we go. This is going to be after this one. We're going to finish the video, then we're going to talk about the other ones. But listen, Susan, go first.
All I can say is wow. So even before the independence, actualization of the independence of this failed Nigeria, the British were already raising money. The British government was already raising money and lobbying in the Ford, BP, Shell for money before to make sure that the northern candidates had money. So this is a pattern. This is a pattern. It's not just the Nigerian government that's corrupt. It's not just the Southeast governors that are corrupt. It's the UK government that is corrupt. And I'm going to call a spade no matter who threatens me or comes out after me. You see, I'm providing proof for you.
Exactly. And so, yeah. Sorry for the background noise. I have a baby in the house. So pretty much what I'm trying to say in essence is this. The Northerners, they gathered their money together with the BP and every other person, right? They got money from the BP and Ford, UAC, all these other businesses. They gathered money together to support the North. Yeah. But when the West and the East wanted to get money, they had to go get money from the merchant board, right? Yeah. When people like Azikiwe and Awolowo wanted to get money, they had to go get money from the board. As they called it, the merchant board, but they couldn't pay that money.
Exactly.
While they waived the money they gave to the North, they were demanding payment back from the Easterners and the Westerners.
Yeah, and mind you, they were already collecting money before the independence. They could have gave it to the Eastern and Western politicians, the UK government, if they were fair.
Exactly, and you must understand that in Nigeria, one of the most expensive things to do is to run for office. If you want to run for office in Nigeria, you need to buy at least the form. Even if it's the president of Nigeria, you have to buy a form. The form is like 25 million naira just for the form alone. Now, not to talk about the campaign, now not to talk about marketing, now not to talk about the people you have to pay, the celebrities, the actors and the actresses that sell their soul for money. Now not to talk about every other thing you have to do. By the time you're done, if you want to run for any, like for the presidential election in Nigeria, you must be ready to put in at least 5 billion naira.
Yeah, and can I say something very important?
Sure.
All of this at the expense of over 5 million Biafran lives, by the way. Lives that have been lost and continuing to be lost.
Exactly. Sorry. Exactly. So I want you all to know this, that there is a plan, and this plan has been in effect. Nigeria is just a puppet for the British, and the British is the puppet master. Now all right? This is one of the biggest scams that has ever been done in the history of the world. Just the same way Mali said they don't want France anymore in Mali. They kicked them out. Say, we don't want France anymore in Mali. We've done enough. We speak French. That is not our indigenous language. Now we have you guys in our territory, taking over our space. We also pay taxes to the French government. What is this? Why is Africa not free? Why is it that there is so much influence of the West in Africa, thereby impeding the growth of Africans? The life that you live in Africa, or the life that you supposedly live in Africa, is not the life that is expected of any human. Look at the life going on in Nigeria. Look at the life going on, the people that are suffering. Forget that you live in Lagos and Abuja and all these big cities. Can you go and live in the villages? Can you go and live in the north? Can you go and live in places that are being killed? The Fulani herdsmen are. Can you do that? No, you cannot. Because even a state like Ondo State and Oyo states that are in the north, in the west, there are people that are running away from those places because of security, because their villages are no longer secured. And we have to be worried about this. As a young person, I have to be worried about it. Do you know why? Because at the end of the day, most people will tell you that when they want to retire, they want to go back to the villages. If there is no village for you to retire as an older man or older woman, what then is the future of your retirement? If you have no safety and no security, can you go back to the village to go retire? No. The answer is no. And if my mother and my fathers are not safe in the villages, then I am not safe, because they need a place to retire at. And the friend, as you know, he kept mentioning it, that the British, they never stand up or speak up against their friends. The British, they believe strongly in loyalty. And in this loyalty, they've picked the North to be their friends. I only wonder why they decided to do that. But the reason why is simply because of control. When you leave a place, excuse me, when you leave a place, the first people you want to put in that place is who? People you can control. That's why all these governors, they learned from the British. Exactly. As soon as a governor leaves a particular state, he wants to put his in-law, he wants to put his brother in there, he wants to put his cousin, he wants to put his nephew, he wants to put his PA. Why? Because he wants to be able to control them. He wants to be able to control them. And that is exactly what we're seeing here today. It's terrible.
And this is why this ain't about ethnicity. This is about control. Like, you know, it's not like just Mazi Nnamdi Kanu coming after Hausas and Fulanis and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he has a lot of reason to come after him because of the terrorism and stuff. But he comes after them because their mentality is to be under the British, being their puppets. You know what I mean? They have no sense of life or being or living a normal life or living. Like, I always ask myself, why do these terrorists even do what they do? Why don't they just sit down somewhere, farm on their own land, earn their own living, and take care of their families? They're always dependent. And this is why the British government was able to manipulate them, because they didn't. You heard it from his own mouth. They didn't even want to be free. They didn't want to become independent. They wanted the British government to continue to rule them.
That's the North, and that's exactly what it is. The Northerners have decided to give their power to the British. The Igbos, the Biafrans are saying, no, we do not want no British control. And they know for sure, the British people know for sure that as soon as Biafra comes, their reign over the oil, their reign over the gas, their reign over the resources of Biafra will come to a close. They know that for sure. They know
but what the British did is they shot themselves in the foot, the British government. Because now these terrorists have been able to take a foothold. And now there's terrorists in Southeast Biafra land right now, and China communism, who have their sights, and Saudi Arabia, who have their sights on the oil, not just the British now. What the British government should have done was to legitly trade make the Igbo people, the Biafrans, free and trade with them legally and fairly, and they would not have this issue that they're having today. But no, they opened the floodgates with all these terrorists and supported these terrorists, and now you got communist China and Saudi Arabia, the Middle Eastern terrorists with their sights on Nigeria. And now in the end, the British pretty soon will not have their oil if terrorists take over that country. And now they're in a catch-22 because, like we say in America, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And now they don't want the secret to come out. That's why they threaten people. And I truly believe that's why MNK is sitting in a dungeon today.
Correct. And let me tell you, this is what I see. At the end of the day, Nigeria is going to get to a situation like Afghanistan, where the US will just have to pack their bags and run for their dear lives. That's exactly what's going to happen. Very soon, the UK will have no other option but to say, listen, we cannot keep supporting the North. These guys have become totally irresponsible. They have no rule of law. They have no justification. They are destroying their own economy. They are raising terrorists. They are raising Almajiris everywhere, people that have no future and no security. And at the end of the day, it's time for us to go. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to jump ship because the Nigeria is a sinking ship, and the place that the British have decided to pitch their tent is in the north, which is even the reason why Nigeria is in a sinking ship in the first instance. If the plan of the British had worked, let's say they had a plan for the north, which was to grow the economy of the north and make the north like a Dubai today, and that would have been better. But look at it, 50 years, 60 years till today, no development from the north. Nothing has, I can't even name one solid industry that is doing anything in the north. All we know is that they are wealthy, they have money, they have oil money. The money coming from Bayelsa is being stored in the north. The money from the oil rigs of Delta is being stored in the north. While the people from Delta and Bayelsa, the people from Igbo land that are bringing this oil, they're suffering. They're suffering. But guess what? Everything that has a beginning must also have an end. And very soon, the British rule in Nigeria will also come to an end, whether they like it or not. Because, go on, Susan.
I just wanted to say, you know, the Nigerian government wants to say that it's Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafrans that are making Nigeria unstable. Well, I beg to differ. It's the British who opened the floodgates for the terrorists, the communists, themselves, the British government I'm talking about. I always want to reiterate. They opened the floodgates for this insecurity to happen. And now because they opened the floodgates, over 5 million people's lives lost. And they want to blame the very people that are the victims for the insecurity. And this is why Catriona Lang blocked me. I hope she's listening today, because American citizens are watching. We're educating ourselves, and we are talking to our U.S. representatives, and we will not stop. It is not going away. So you either get yourself and tell the truth and stop what you're doing, or you will be exposed. One of the two.
Exactly.
And I know people threaten me. I've had people threaten me. Go ahead and threaten me. I have the same, I won't say the same spirit, but I have a spirit in me. He's called a greater spirit in me. He's called God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Whatever he tells my spirit to do, I'm going to do. So do whatever you have to do to me. I'm not afraid.
Amen. Amen. And there is no need for anyone to be afraid for speaking the truth. All right. I'm a lawyer. All right. And it's my duty sometimes to, expose things that go on in this world. And I'm one of the people that stand for justice and fairness and what's right. All right. And that's the reason why I have decided to speak up too, because when I went to law school, one of the things that I want, one of the things I learned was the principles of natural justice, fair hearing, equity, and justice. You must hear the other side of the party. You can't only keep hearing the side of the North. You have to hear the side of the East. You have to hear the side of the West. You have to hear the side of the Biafrans. You have to hear the side of the Oduduwas. You can't go about killing all of your enemies that are your brothers. All right? This is not how it should be. We don't want chaos. We don't want people's lives to be lost. We just want people to sit down together and talk. Just like the same way the British, if they were having a Biafran crisis in the UK currently, how would they have approached it? That should be the question of the leadership of Nigeria right now. And that should be the question of the British too. Like, if we were having the same issues that are being brought out today in Nigeria, how would we approach it? Are we going to approach it by taking the army and telling them they should go carry out an Operation Python dance in the region that we don't like? That's not how we're going to approach it. Look at what's going on right now in Russia with Ukraine and all the threats of war. How are they going to approach that situation? Is it going to be like, yeah, whatever they want to do, let them do it. They want to blow up, let them blow up the nuclear weapon. That's not how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right now, what they're doing is they're having talks. They're having sit-downs. They're having conversations. How can we solve this problem so that people's lives do not get lost? That should be the question for the leadership of Nigeria, the leadership of the UK. How do we solve this problem so that nobody's lives get lost again? We cannot keep having, a party that is just keep supporting one people alone. It's unfair. It's unfair.
Yes, and this is appalling to me as an American. Appalling. I don't even know where to begin to explain to you how appalling this is. And this is why I'm going to educate as many people around me as possible. This is why I'm going to continue to try to speak to representatives. And the word needs to get out. And yes, people will say, well, what you're doing is worthless, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. And I'm not going to quit. My parents never raised a quitter. My grandfather was the love of my life. He never raised a quitter. I'm going to keep going. Just like MNK kept going. And he's still going to this day. God is going to be our protection.
Amen. Amen.
And this truth has to come out. It has to come out. And this is why history is important. It is important to keep history alive so it don't repeat itself.
Yes, I'm going to play the last clip of this video so we can round up today's conversation.
Yes.
At the election of 1959 was rigged. The census figure were cooked. I don't know if you have been following the ongoing in Nigeria today.
Yes, of course.
The last general election,
yes,
the 1979-1980 election, in which Azekwe was the beautiful bride. And I
have to tell you, sir, that I'm not going to comment.
Okay.
I cannot interfere in Nigeria's domestic politics. I'm a historic figure. I do keep up, naturally, because I love Nigeria. And I've kept up with its history of its assassinations and military coups and dictatorships for 50 years. And this has been one of the biggest tragedies in world history, because this potentially was one of the greatest nations on earth. Nigeria was packed with educated, decent people who wanted to serve their country.
Since you lost that job that the government threatened or went behind you to say that you were disloyal to them and you were fired, have you ever worked any other place since?
Have I?
Have you worked in any other company since?
I didn't go to Oxford in the usual way. I came from a very poor family and left school when I was 13 years old. And I served a factory apprenticeship as an engineer, which is very unusual for an Oxford undergraduate. At Oxford also, I trained as a social worker. I'm a fully qualified social worker. So and as a personnel officer too, although the government stopped me working when I returned to this country and I was quite ill, I did a lot of voluntary work from this time on. both in the medical field, in the field of young girls. We also had campaigns on comprehensive schools. So I've kept very busy over the decades, although I have been kept out of employment quite deliberately. And when I did take up work, the government came after me and behaved abominably. And they did the most appalling things. They framed me with money missing. When I worked as a humble postman, after I'd worked as a personnel officer, I delivered the post to the workers who I'd employed. And they forced me out of that. They framed me. And later, when I was working in a labor exchange, they used the foulest methods to get me out of work. They told me they would. They said, the Governor General said, unless you do what I say, you will never work again. And he offered me this, and it's very big bribes: a knighthood, a post in the Far East, in the Foreign Service, and a large sum of money. And this was confirmed later in Whitehall, and we turned it down.
Thank you very much for your time to answer some of the questions we've.
Did that sound familiar?
That is exactly what we wanted to share with you guys today. As you guys can see, you know, the government of the UK has been playing a game with Nigerians from 1955, way before the independence of Nigeria. They've been playing a mind game.
They already knew what they wanted to do.
They already knew what they wanted. And you can see what the man said. The man said that Nigeria was it's still a potentially, great nation. But the way it is structured, it can never reach its potential. It's like you saying that, oh, I have a beautiful child. You give it to a beautiful child. And as soon as you give it to the child, you just destroy her legs. You break her legs.
And Bucci, it's got to really affect you knowing that you had to leave your homeland. Your baby was crying in the background. Future Biafran crying in the background in a foreign land, all because of this. That's got to be devastating.
That's, as I said, Susan, I said this initially, Susan. I said that a lot of young people, go on Twitter, a lot of young people today are celebrating leaving Nigeria. I have never seen it happen anywhere in the world where people go and share testimonies because they're leaving their country in church. It is a big, big celebration. People go to church, they say, hey, praise the Lord. My name is this. I'm thankful to God because I just recently got a visa to leave Nigeria. Who does that? Nobody should be excited to leave a country of their birth. I am not excited to leave a country of my birth, to become exiled in another country because of the fact that my way of life is seen as a threat to people who have no regard for human life.
And I feel depleted as an American because as an American, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking to you right now, and hopefully I don't cry. As an American, I feel devastated that our own politicians are not doing anything, and we're going along with Britain. I don't trust Britain. I don't want to be an ally to Britain. And this is the prime example. I don't care what a color of skin a person has. I care about human beings. And human beings are being threatened all through time, and a major, massive genocide that hasn't been called a genocide yet. But let me tell you, even in my depleted state, I'm still going to put up a massive fight, because the fight, and I'm doing a peaceful fight. I believe the Biafrans, what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is saying, and the Biafran people is legitimate. And no one should be putting down the reason behind this movement, period.
Period.
And if anybody asks me why I believe so highly in Mazli Namdi Kanu, this is why. He has been trying to educate and warn people about this, so you in your own mind can have a clear mind and decide for yourself what you want your life to turn out to be. And this is why I'm not a savior. No one's a savior. But just like in America, we had to fight for our own freedom against the British. We had to fight the British to keep our own freedom.
The same British. The same. You know, again, you know what they say? They say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, right? If the British or if Britain claims they are friends of Nigeria, why then does Nigeria have no light? Why then does Nigeria have no good roads? Why then does Nigeria have no healthcare? Why then does Nigeria have no water resources? Why then does Nigerians have no pension? Even the military people that are being used as a tool, as pawns in this chess game to kill their own people, when they retire, they have no pension. Even while they're in active service, they don't get paid.
Can I, because part of my background here, you can see our U.S. Ambassador Leonard up there, okay? So I took it upon myself to see what our U.S. foreign policy objectives are in Nigeria. And I'm going to read to you what our supposed U.S. policy, foreign policy and objectives are. The United States seeks to help improve the economic stability, security, and well-being of Nigerians by strengthening democratic institutions, improving governance, transparency, and accountability, promoting human rights, encouraging two-way trade and investment, and professionalizing security forces. Okay, so recently I spoke directly to a desk officer, and I read this to him, and I said, this is supposed to be our U.S. foreign policy objectives. Where do you see any of these objectives happening successfully? They're not. None of these objectives have been happening successfully. None. This is why I told them, stop believing the terrorist sponsoring Nigerian government and the UK government and start going on ground and doing independent investigations away from the State Department into what's going on ground and listen to the actual people on ground.
Exactly. And they will not listen to you.
Well, they're going to listen because we are not, I told him the other day, this is not going away. This is not going away. Britain government, Catriona Lang, if you're listening to me, UK government, State Department. We already have Representative Chris Smith, former Ambassador John Campbell, U.S. Senator Bob Melendez that helped free Sawore, Matthew Page, former U.S. intelligence officer, Bruce Fine, U.S. constitutional and international law lawyer. They all are seeing it. This is not going away.
It's not going away. And the Biafrans in Nigeria will make sure it doesn't go away. They are playing the role. And I want to commend all the Biafrans.
Yes.
I want to commend them for their sacrifices. Someone posted in this chat, in the comment section, about how Israel Williams said, I'm really telling you, honestly speaking, do you know that Nigerian governments are killing people now in the East?
Yes, they are. And
not just in the East, they're also killing people in the West.
Well, they've got military grade weapons right now in the South State, Ebony State. They've done it in Abia State. I have, and I keep this at my fingertips, I have 4 pages just up until 2013. okay, of massacres on the Biafran people. And it's still counting today. There's still massive genocide, but now the military has been infiltrated by these people. And now they're undercover with military and police uniforms, still with military grade weapons, shooting at innocent people.
Yeah, so sad. So
right
so
now.
sad.
And
So,
you
so
see
sad.
our Southeast governors doing nothing.
And we must also remember that on the 16th of February is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case. All right? For those who do not know, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra that is fighting, and agitating for the self-determination of the Biafran people in Nigeria, which is a constitutional right, and a right that is enshrined in all the valid, articles, whether it's the AU, the African Union Charter of Human and People's Rights, or whether it's even the United Nations Charter. All right. But again, he's in prison for speaking for self-determination that is enshrined in the law. So I want everyone to be in solidarity with this man. If you're just watching us for the first time and you don't know what we're talking about, please Google Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and see for yourself what he's going through. This is this generation's Nelson Mandela.
He's the modern day Moses.
He's a modern day Moses, a modern day Nelson Mandela, a modern day freedom fighter that is fighting for his people. And we are praying that on the 16th of February, that the Nigerian government follows the rule of law and do not become a puppet in the hands of Britain on its own citizen.
Yes.
Against its own citizen. We're praying that this doesn't happen and that things get better. So I just want to just make that very clear.
And while we finish up, Bucci, I want to go through these articles really quick, just to show a pattern, more of a pattern of the UK government on different massacres. During NSAR's protest, who covered for the police and helped them? We've got it right here.
Are you going to share your screen?
Do you have it up on your screen?
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, please do.
Is this going to be the last article before we round up?
We're only going to touch upon each article just to show the pattern of the UK government's behavior when there's massive things going on to innocent people.
Let's start with Daily Maverick.
So back during the Biafran genocide, they call it the Biafran Nigerian War, the Civil War. We call it a Biafran genocide. The British helped to supply weapons, and scroll down, and we can source these articles, but they helped supply weapons to the Nigerian military against innocent Biafrans. Okay, let's go to the next article.
Okay.
The NSARS article.
Okay, can you see this?
Okay, now in modern day times, the UK government needs to come clean on funding for the Nigerian police, who are the ones who are being put in uniform and going after innocent people and slaughtering them and doing and torturing. And right now, more Biafrans are in prison than any terrorist, by the way. And they don't feed people in prison. Your family has to bring you food, and they have to pay a bribe to the Nigerian police, who are so corrupt, thanks to the help of the UK government funding them. So they either die in prison starving to death, or their family has to pay big amounts of money and try to get food, which, by the way, is ridiculous. We already touched on the economic disparity in that failed contraption. And then people wonder why Biafrans do not want to be a part of Nigeria. And this program right here, let it be evidence, notated evidence, why Biafrans want to success away from Nigeria. They want a referendum. They want a way. They want separated.
They want separation. Exactly.
And they deserve it.
They deserve it. The British, you guys have done enough. All right, the Britain government facilitated the Nigerian government to kill Biafrans in the time of the Civil War. They still provided strategic training for the police in the NSAS. So we see that whenever there is a massive death going on in Nigeria, you have to know that the British is involved, one way or the other. And it is sad that most of the British people in the good British people, most of them do not even know what's going on, what their government is doing. And it's time for them to be waking up and be alert, because the same problem that's happening in Nigeria is going to happen in the UK very soon, in Britain very soon.
And I often think where the Biafran people would be if the British government did not stop a free people from being prosperous. I bet you there would be no terrorists in the Sahel. I bet you nobody would be starving, and there would be jobs and running water and a good economic, and they would have the US and Europe would have a good ally in Africa, just in case these little terrorists want to come and try to take over. But now, because the floodgates were opened by the UK government, all of this stuff is happening.
Yes. So guys, I hope you all have been educated. This is more like a school, and as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would say, come with your pen and paper. So I hope you all have been educated by Susan and myself very passionately as to why the British have played a role. If this was a debate, we would say that I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you as to why the British are involved in what's going on in modern day Nigeria. And it's time for them to take their hands off, just like the US did in Afghanistan, and let Nigerians solve their own problems. Because whenever there is all this interference in the policy, because I'm very sure that this current day Nigerian government has given all its authority to the UK, to the British.
I'm almost positive too.
To lead the nation, whichever way they deem fit. That's the reason why you see all this, even current day politicians that are trying to run for presidency, like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's already doing the same thing, running to the UK to get further instructions on what they should do with the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is fair to say, as it stands right now, the future of Nigeria is in the palm of the UK. And if care isn't taken, there's going to be a total chaos, because they are not leading Nigeria to any glorious future. The future is bleak. It is a future that is filled with Boko Haram. ISIS is coming to West Africa. It's going to build a big base in Nigeria.
They've already
had. At the end of the day, the Armageddon is coming, where the Prince of Darkness will be installed in Nigeria to carry chaos. But I'm thankful that God raised the modern day Moses called Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the Honorable Moses, to help and to speak on behalf of the Biafrans, as well as the other folks that are speaking on behalf of the Yoruba nation, in the likes of Sunday Igboho and the other, his other comrades that are speaking up for this. And we say, please do not stop. Victory is near. Any final words from you, Susan?
Yes, I would like to say, as you heard that Harold speak, he said one of the things that the British government did not want was the Yoruban people and the Biafran people, the Southwest and the Southeast, to be united. Now more than ever, united has to stand, because this is what they don't want. And this has to be rectified. When I was taught in church as a girl that there's powers, evil powers and principalities in high places, little did I know as a child that today, when I'm older, I won't say how old I am, but I'm older, that I would see it actually in play in my own lifetime, right in front of my own eyes, and God showing me the knowledge. And this is the knowledge that He is showing me. And I would not take it so serious in my spirit to tell you, united you stand, divided you fall. Freedom, without freedom, you can't worship who you want to worship. Without freedom, you can't prosper. Without freedom, you have no security. Freedom first.
Exactly. Freedom first. And that's all we have for you guys today. I want to thank the amazing Susan Mount for your patience and your time with us today, for carrying out most of this research. Most of this research was sent to me by Susan. And I want to say a big shout out to you. Guys, thank you very much for being a part of our show today. We don't like to spend too much time. We like to hit the hammer in the nail and get going. Please, if you were just joining, you can go back and watch the video from the beginning. Also, please drop your likes, share this video. We want a better future for Africa. We want a better future for our kids. We're not fighting the Nigerian government. We don't care about them. We want what is best for us as people. We want what's best for us as a people. We don't care about what these folks are doing. We just want what's best for us as a people. And the people that we stand for are Biafran people.
You know what I love about Biafrans? They've done it in a peaceful manner.
Exactly. Thank you very much, guys. This is all we have for you guys today. Please share this video, like, and follow us on our Facebook. Follow us on our YouTube page, The Leadership Standard. Follow Susan Mount as well on our Facebook page and on Twitter. On Twitter, she's Susan Mount 45. On Twitter, I am Buchilo, as well as on Facebook, I am The Leadership Standard, and on YouTube, I'm also The Leadership Standard. Please follow us on those platforms so that we can increase and we can have more speakers and we can be more, informed. And please also share your, if there's anything you want us to talk about, message us and share us a video link or article link, and we'll talk about it sometime. I want to say we love you all. We're going to be praying for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that on the 16th, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released unconditionally. We're going to keep saying it because there's power in our words. So we're going to keep saying that on the 16th, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is going to be thrown out. They'll be like, there's no case to prove. And because he was extraordinary rendition, he was kidnapped. And there is overwhelming evidence, case law to show that you cannot try a man, when he has been kidnapped, when there's already an illegality to secure that man's, put him, in prison. So
that was their biggest mistake right there.
That was where they shut themselves.
And the UK government and the Nigerian government, best believe American citizens are watching. I'm not the only one, and this is not going away anytime soon. So stop spinning your wheels trying to make it go away, because it's not going to go away.
It's not going away because we have kids that are coming up and they're knowing about Biafra. Exactly. And Mike
it's time for the devil to pay his dues.
Exactly. Mike Statter just asked a very good question. Name any other British citizen that has been kidnapped and where the UK media kept silent. Name one. I'm happy that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is starting a good precedence, because at the end of the day, if they fail to bring justice in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case, it's best to say that the future of law practice in Nigeria is going to go down the drain. Yeah. Because every case matters. Every case matters, and every case is another way to do what is right. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case is prolonged as it is, then just know the future of law practice is going down the drain, and we don't want that to happen. Thank you, everybody.
And if I was the Nigerian government, I would let him go, because you're going to be held accountable for what the British government opened up for you.
Exactly. Thank you, everybody. And from us, we want to say thank you for being a part of this show. We love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week ahead. God bless you all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen, y'all.